Welcome to Integrated Inquiry, Week 3, Emotion Regulation.
So getting started, the invitation is to sense the body in the chair, the seat on the chair, feet on the floor, the back upright, alert, yet relaxed. Maybe sensing the back against the chair or away from the chair. Noticing where the hands are placed. Inviting the eyes to soften. So it's as if you're looking but not really seeing, that soft gaze. Or perhaps your eyes are closed. Then noticing the whole body, scanning gently from the feet, the legs, the seat, back, the head. Noticing this entire body, arms, hands, all here in this moment, in this chair. Then bringing a gentle attention to the breath sensation in the belly. Getting curious about how the belly moves with each inhale and each exhale. And allowing some gratitude to arise, just noticing, you are here. You intended to be here. You arrived here. And I am grateful. Whenever you're ready, inviting your attention back into the room. And taking a moment again just to scan the body, noticing where tension may be present, if at all. See if you can get really playfully curious without judgment about noticing sensations or lack of sensations present anywhere in the body. See if you can notice them, name them with one word without going into judgment of whether they should be there. Just notice. And as you notice sensation or a lack of sensation in the body, notice any names that may be arising. Names that you would use to label those sensations. Maybe you notice tension and call it stress. Maybe you notice a tight belly. Call it worry. There's no right or wrong. Just noticing bodily sensations or lack of sensations. Maybe there's a dullness. You might name that a dullness, or maybe it's sadness. Just seeing if there's an emotion related to these sensations you're noticing. Again, seeing if you can do this with a lot of kindness toward what you're noticing. Some validation. Of course, you're noticing this. Who wouldn't? They just had this experience, whatever the experience is. And then whenever you're ready, gently release that scan of the body and bring a hand again to rest gently on the belly, sensing the rise and fall of the belly. Pressing the feet into the floor, the seat into the chair. Maybe the back against the chair. Just noticing here, now, here, now. And then whenever you're ready, maybe taking a moment just to pick up a pen or pencil if you have one nearby, piece of paper, and writing down what you noticed as you practice. What did you notice? And if you don't have a piece of pen or paper, maybe if you are in a place where you can just speak to what you noticed, just to yourself, like, oh, I noticed I'm hungry. Or I noticed, oh, some heaviness in my chest and some sadness. Or, oh, my bum is sore. I've been sitting too much. It needs a break. Whatever you're noticing. And seeing if you can again do this with that generous kindness, that grace. So the practice here is whatever you're noticing is whatever you're noticing. Whatever you're noticing is true for you. And what we're understanding from research, this is a study from the University of Finland, what we're understanding from research is that emotions tend to take up residence in the body. This is a particular study that was cross cultures, various cultures, European cultures and Asian cultures. And participants were given computer images, and the images were black silhouettes. And they were asked to use these red and oranges colors to color in places in the body where they felt particular activation, a lot of activation for each emotion. And they were invited to use the blues and the purples to color in places where they felt like a dullness or like sort of a like a heaviness or a voidness, sort of those sort of emptiness kind of things. And then a black color remained neutral, sort of like a lack of sensation. And when the researchers overlaid these 800 images, they found amazing similarities in where people experience emotions in the body. Now this, whether it's activation or sort of the opposite of activation, sort of a dullness or emptiness. So these may or may not be useful to you. They may or may not represent what you're feeling. But I think for me, I can really resonate with some of these where when I'm feeling depressed, it's like just like dead limbs and there's lack of sensation in the middle of my core of my body. Or when I'm feeling love, there's activation in the whole core. There's a lot of activation in the body. So the idea here is that it's really raising the question that that emotions may be physiological. They may have some correlating physiological sensations. And if we can become aware of where emotions reside in our body, then we can start to cultivate emotional awareness and perhaps begin to integrate that into our decision making rather than have that emotion just make the decision for us, if that makes sense. There's another study, this is done at the University of Iowa. The study's been replicated several times, even though this particular one's from 1997. And in this particular study, there's a whole lot going on, but the basic premises of this study, I'm oversimplifying it, is that participants were given 4 decks of cards. 2 red and 2 blue, and they were invited to play a game and try to win the game. Just do all you can to win the game. And the point of the game is that they would draw a card from each deck, and the card would either give them money or they'd lose money. What they didn't know is that the red cards were rigged. There'd be big winnings, but there'd also be big losses. And the only way to actually win the game was to draw from the blue cards. Well, the researchers observed these particular people who were playing this game, and they also connected them to some physiological markers to record stress. And after each participant drew about, now this is aggregate data, but after the participants drew about 50 cards, the researchers stopped them and they said, do you have an idea of how to win this game? And they said, after 50 cards, they said, yeah, I've got an idea. I've got a hunch. I think I know how to win this game. Then after 80 cards, they stopped and they said, I figured it out. I know how to win this game. I have to draw from the blue deck only to win this game. I have to stop drawing from the red deck. They didn't have to draw from all 4 decks. They just were invited to draw from all 4 decks. So they figured out after 80 cards, to win the game, they have to draw from the blue deck. The interesting thing was that after 10 cards, the researchers said, did you know your palm started to sweat and you automatically started to go to the blue cards? So this study blew my mind, because I was like, oh my gosh, the body knows. But the mind wasn't paying attention, right? It took 70 more cards for the participants to say, I've got it figured out. If we could begin to cultivate body awareness and notice, the body needs this, the body doesn't need this, we begin to integrate it into our decision making, not let it drive the decision making, but begin to integrate it. And remembering that emotions take up residence in the body, this can also cultivate our emotional awareness. Antonio Damasio, a neuroscientist at USC, says that, emotions play a role in regulating our decisions. So whether we're aware of our emotions or not, they'll play a role in regulating our decisions. So it's really our choice to begin to become aware of our emotions and how they're playing a role in regulating our decisions or not. And this is, I love this research, because I just actually got to speak to this in UNESCO in Vietnam, when some folks were really debating, no, emotions should stay out of the classroom, they should stay out of the workplace. And I'm like, well, you can say to keep them out of the workplace, but here's what the research says. So that really hit me too. So there's plenty of ways, there are a number of practices that we cultivate awareness of bodily sensations. One of them is through the body scan, and we'll be inviting you to engage in this practice in our in-class practice and out-of-class practices. And basically as we began this class, just scanning the body from head to toe. Will go much slower in the guided audio, but you'll just be noticing where sensation is and where there's lack of sensation. Then the invitation is, whenever we notice a trigger, a stress trigger, is to not only pause, hit that stop button, pause, note, breathe, anchor the body and breathe, but to begin this noticing process of where you're noticing what it is you're noticing. Is anger here, or is it in the gut? Does it start here, or does it start in the abdomen? Where does anger begin for you? Where does happiness begin for you? Just beginning to cultivate a relationship with emotional awareness in the body. And the point is that you are not your emotions. You're just experiencing them. They're physiological experiences in the body. So when I become aware that I'm not anger, I'm just experiencing anger in the body, then I'm not jumping onto the anger bandwagon. The mind is not saying, oh, Marilee, you're just angry and that's all there is to it. It's like, oh, I am experiencing anger. Anger is not a bad emotion. It's not bad to experience anger. But if I let anger take me away, then anger will close down my prefrontal medial cortex, and I don't see all the options that I have. So anger is not bad, but if I don't recognize, I'm experiencing anger, and stop and breathe, what are my options? I won't know how to be with anger or be in partnership with anger. Does that make sense? Okay, so again, we're moving away from I'm angry and letting it just erupt all over the place, and having to do clean up later to I'm experiencing anger in my body. I know where anger is experienced. I know where it starts. I might even speak to, I'm experiencing anger. So listening to this is creating anger in this body, right? Or whatever it might be. I may speak to that and begin to soothe anger so that it doesn't take over my behavior, so that I can stay in partnership and make choices. Through all of this, noticing what we're noticing in the body, notice that immediate label of yum or yuck, like or dislike. Right? I like the sensation, I don't like the sensation. And see if we can stay in playful curiosity of, what is this? This is particularly a big practice for me because I have experienced a lot of pain, physical pain in the body because of the neurological disease that I have. And so I might jump to, oh no, storytelling. Oh no, that's that means that's the precursor to that means blah, blah, blah. And before I know it, I'm going into the story. Instead, if I hit the pause button and say, oh, I noticed this. Let me soothe it with a breath. I'm not sweeping it away. I'm just soothing it, being with it, getting curious about it. What is it? How is it similar? How is it different? Suspending that yum or yuck, I get more information. More options for decisions reveal themselves, and I have a more empowered choice. And as we begin to practice this emotional awareness, we'll begin to notice, first we'll practice with focusing on our attention on inner emotional awareness, sensations inner. And then we'll open it and we'll start to notice emotional sensations in relationship to outer experiences. So I've got this picture of a blue sky and sunshine, and you may begin to notice something immediately from that. I notice something, an immediate physiological response when I step out into the sunshine and I see just the privilege of a blue, clear sky. Such a privilege to have a clear sky. And I notice that, or I notice some green grass or whatever it might be, or the smell of the air or the flower or the tree. There's a physiological response to what's being noticed. And we'll start also to play around with noticing that when we walk into a meeting, if there are some angry people or demands or whatever the case might be. What are we noticing physiologically? How can we be with that, honoring the inner experience and the outer experience, and moving that into collaborative, integrative choices? Cool? All right, so your practical takeaways today, the science, emotional triggers can cause us to react rather than respond. It just is a part of that human physiology, that survival mechanism. So what we want to do is also become aware that emotions are physiological sensations in the body. They just are. They're going to happen. I can't control the emotions that arise in me, but I can choose to become aware of them, to cultivate this gentle way of being with them, naming them with one word, and so that I can integrate what I'm noticing with an intentional response and prioritize responses. The practices, we're building on the practice, and we'll begin cultivating more of these practices in our in-class practice. And if you don't want to wait to in-class, you can go to the guided practices and start on your learning management system and start practicing. Okay, so again, some formal practices and some informal practices. The other thing we'll be inviting you to do is journaling your pleasant experiences and what you notice, and your unpleasant experiences and what you notice. So in your learning management system, there's a calendar called Pleasant and Unpleasant Experiences Calendar. And for a part of your assignment, we'll be asking you to fill that out. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So for now, any questions, you know what to do. Give me a shout out. Our invitation before next class, connect with your buddy, post any questions, discussion boards you have on the course site. Practice the body scan daily. It could be as quickly as it was when we began this webinar. It could be the slower version. It's up to you. Practice that informal focused movement, the focused breathing practice, the 2-minute journal, and then complete that pleasant and unpleasant events calendar you can either, you don't have to post it to the course site. I know it says to post to the course site, but you can just bring it to class. That's fine. And informally reflect on the poem. I look forward to seeing you next week. It's always a joy to be here with you. And until then, enjoy. Thank you.